Everyone has to love something that they just love to death. Whatever that is, you've got to have that in life. Otherwise, you know, it's not nearly as fun to go through it.
The fact that steelhead are a trout in itself is kind of mind-boggling. This creature that, if it stayed in the river, probably would not grow nearly as big or strong, and for some reason, these genetics have kicked these fish out into the ocean where they have to survive all the madness that goes on out there.
I would say the most troubled fishermen in the world are steelheaders. You get no feedback, you can't see them. You know, you gotta believe, I'm not a religious person, but you gotta believe they're there.
But steelheaders are all crazy. Like, really, when you get down to it, we're all a little bit nuts to go out and stand in a freezing cold river for hours or days or sometimes weeks and months on end without catching a fish, and love it and want to do it again and again and again. There's so many things that keep it going. Steelheading gives you the time and the opportunity to really look at your surroundings and soak in your surroundings and be in these beautiful places. In order to steelhead fish, you have to love the entire process. My name is Adrienne Camo, and I'm a steelhead guide for Skeena Bay, which is on the Skeena River in Terrace, BC. I moved up here from the Lower Mainland, basically just to work on the Skeena. This will be my 11th season in Terrace. The first time I came into Terrace was this like glorious evening in third week of April. Came in as the sun was setting, the mountains were lit up and the clouds were lit up and the river was in beautiful shape, and I was just instantly fell in love. You get drawn to it, like moths to a flame, as you progress in steelheading. The opportunity here and the experiences that are possible. Eventually, I think you need to come here.
I can still remember catching my first steelhead on the Bulkley, and time stopped. I felt great. I couldn't think of anything. I think it's a high. I think it's something that people, they chase. That feeling of escape and calmness, explosive action that happens when you hook one. And so I was hooked after that. I went all in and just started fishing every day. Each time you get tight on a fish, I feel like something imprints into your, you know, your mind, your body, whatever, of the speed of the swing or the weather that day or how deep you're wading, the tension on that fly coming across, and you start to anticipate it. You'll get people or yourself on a river that you've never fished before, and at some point in that run, you either say it aloud or to yourself, you're like, man, that's swinging really nice. It's because that speed that your fly is swinging at that moment was the exact speed of the last fish you hooked.
You could potentially hook the fish of a lifetime in the most beautiful place. A guest last year, and he hooked his very first steelhead, and he was literally crying. He was so like emotional about it, and he was definitely hooked after that. That guy had a life-altering experience just from catching a fish.
What the Skeena has going for it is you don't have any dams, you don't have fish farms, you've got no hatchery steelhead and oodles of habitat, lots of tributaries. and a lot of diversity in those waters. You know, you've got rivers like the Kispiox, which are lower gradient. Then you've got stuff like the Bulkley. Man, the Bulkley's probably, I think it's about 90 miles long, and flat water and canyon pools, any type of water you want to fish, you can find in the Skeena system. You know, you're dealing with a lot of wind, you're dealing with huge water, big wide river. Even if you hook the fish of your dreams, there's no guarantee that it's not going to take all your line, you'll never see it again. So I think that's part of the excitement down here. Every cast you have to believe there's a chance. The role of a guide is to keep their angler out there making all those casts, 1,000 casts, 10,000 casts, whatever it takes. Don't screw up the bite. Okay, now you got a crazy fish on the end of the line. It's trying to take all your line, clear you out. What are you going to do? I think with our guests, there's this camaraderie of understanding that when someone does manage to land, you know, an incredible fish, maybe a 20-pounder, chrome bright, fresh from the sea, that it's a lot of effort that went into that moment.
Yep. Got it. Good call on taking the other one off. Oh, he's off. That's fine.
The Skeena is such a diverse system. It's the second longest river, second longest undammed river in British Columbia, the Fraser being the first. And it travels from the coast way into the interior of BC. So as you go along, the rivers change. So all the tributaries are different the whole way along the river. You can fish for steelhead basically the entire year on the Skeena system, depending on where you go. They're really, like, that I'm aware of, that opportunity doesn't really exist anywhere else. There it is.
Both trout.
Yeah. Woo!
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not.
You want to know? A little lift. It's a steelhead.
It's a steely.
The majority of Skeena steelhead come back as 6-year-old fish. They spend 4 years in fresh water before they smolt, 2 years out in the ocean. I mean, we have a very diverse life history of fish here, and this is why you see 20-inch steelhead, and you see fish over 40 pounds.
Oh, that's something. That's something. It's
Okay. Oh my God! Yes! Yes! Dude. Oh my God! I'm going to get the end.
You know, these are incredible fish, and the only way you can get fish like this, you know, no barriers to migration. The fact that we have a mostly intact watershed really works to preserve the genetics of these fish and give them a chance.
I mean, ultimate draw to come up here, just how close to the ocean you can fish. And I know you can do that on the coastal rivers in Washington and Oregon, but they're different up here. You know, the Skeena hasn't had a hatchery system on it. This is like the purest strain steelhead, you know, you could ever find. This is one of those places that they could be giants. I mean, you could hit your personal best here.
Nice. Hey. Oh, it's big.
Having a bit of knowledge on the reality of the steelhead situation, being that returns have been diminishing, I think is very important for people to know. just how special it is that we can still even go out and have a reasonable chance at catching a fish.
Oh my God!
We're drawn together by the fish, and we're drawn together by the rivers, and we're drawn together by the experiences that we get to share.
Well, you use just a piece of fishing line and just get the length. No, I'd say high teens. But that's
I can see the big one.
dude, smell it. It smells like the ocean.
I'll come up here every year until I die.
I'm just trying to get her tail first.
If you're a steelheader, your jam isn't reeling in a fish. It's the anticipation that something could happen.
That was insane. Nice fish.
Every single take is different, and every single take is special.